Hello YouTube, it is your boy B3, back with another kicking, you guessed it, book review. Today we're doing a book that's pretty well known, has been adapted into film several times. I've seen multiple movies based on this, and even stories in other things, you know. Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. Yeah, very old book. It's kind of known for the dinosaurs and prehistoric creatures in it, but I want to say right off the bat, if you're reading this specifically for the dinosaurs, you are probably going to be disappointed. This book is a bit more Journey than it is Center of the Earth, and it's more about geology than it is paleontology and, you know, natural history. It's more about geology than paleontology. Just keep that in mind. And when the book came out, there was like a new edition that came out a while later that added more parts with prehistoric creatures into the original book. But I think that's kind of a bit disingenuous. I don't know if it's just altering the author's original work because you know that dinosaurs sell, and so you wanted to add more dinosaurs to it. That's literally just capitalism all just destroying art, in my opinion. So, you know, I don't like that. And I honestly don't know which version mine is. Mine was like a free version. You know, a lot of these older books are public domain and stuff. You can get them for free. And even if they're not public domain, a lot of the times they're like included with subscriptions like Prime Reading, Kindle Unlimited, Audible Premium subscription, etc., etc. Audible Premium subscription actually has a really good Journey to the Center of the Earth audiobook, narrated by Tim Curry. It kicks ass. I definitely check that out if you're interested in the book. I have listened to it. It is super dope. But Journey to the Center of the Earth, which I've listened to a couple times on Audible and read physically, is about... It's written by this guy. Well, it's written by Jules Verne, but it's, you know, one of those books where it's the style of like someone who observed the events is writing a memoir about it, kind of. And that's one of my favorite writing styles. I actually write that way a lot. One of my books I have published on Kindle right now, it's a horror short story pairing of Clockwork and A Woman and Lady in the Fog. And they're both written that way. I love that writing style. It's really cool. And Journey to the Center of the Earth, as well as a lot of older books, have that, like The Land That Time Forgot, and I believe Frankenstein did as well. I'll review Frankenstein at some point. That is a good one. But Journey to the Center of the Earth is like he's the nephew of this big time geologist, and the geologist is like goddaughter. He's in love with the goddaughter, whose name is Gräuben. They're German. And that's her last name, and they just kind of call her by her family name, I believe. And so there's like the first huge chunk of the book is just them deciphering code, and it's pretty boring. But then they kind of like go to Iceland and stuff, and that's when it starts to get more interesting. I'm actually really interested in geology. I work at a place with a lot of geological stuff. I work at a museum. I work at a natural history museum, and most of what we have is like geology and paleontology there. So I'm real into this stuff, and this book has both. But yeah, so a lot of geological stuff, and they kind of give this like reasoning for why the Earth can't be, you know, magma at the center, and it's obviously untrue. We know there's magma at the center of the Earth. Hollow Earth theory is very, very easily unprovable, but it gave us a lot of cool pulp books and, you know, some cool stuff in the Monsterverse. You know, Hollow Earth is cool to use in your sci-fi books and stuff, but it's not possible in the real world. So they kind of go down, there's like this big underwater sea, there's a lot of like, oh, how are they going to survive down here? Where are they going to get air and water? And there are prehistoric creatures that seem to have remained unchanged somehow, and all this cool stuff. But it is mostly about geology, so make sure you're interested in that. Otherwise, you might find this book pretty boring. You really might. But I mean, I've read it and listened to it, and I do enjoy it. I do find that code section at the beginning boring as hell, though. Obviously, you know that at least. And one thing I will. There's one problem with the format of like it being written as a memoir is it you if it's you kind of know the main character is going to survive in the end. Usually you can do it with them dead, but it's difficult to do. So yeah, so you kind of just know that at least someone's going to survive, but you want them to survive. It's not a horror book, because like lots of horror stories, you know, they're more effective if no one gets out alive a lot of the time, which is why this format can be hard for horror. But for sci-fi and stuff, especially like with older sci-fi, it's really perfect. So I'm a pretty big fan of Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. It's a classic for a reason. That being said, if you're just a dinosaur nut who wants to read dinosaur books, you could probably pass on it, because it's not that much dinosaur-wise. It's really not, unless you get one of those new ones that added a bunch of new dinosaur shit. You know? But it's still pretty good. It's a classic sci-fi book, and if you're just really into classic sci-fi, 100% you gotta read it or listen to it. So that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. My dinosaur book, I'm still working on it at the time of recording this. Might be out by the time this goes live, but All Dinosaurs Go to Hell canon will be found on my Kindle author page, which you can find in my link tree in the description. So thank you all very much for your support, and I will see you all next time.